What up, everybody? Hey, welcome to Moving the Military Agent Interview Series. Hey, I am co-founder of Moving the Military, Matt Grudel, and as always, I'm with my business partner, Dina Watson, the other co-founder. And today we have the privilege to be with Chad Howery out of how would you say, New Bern, Cherry Point, Camp Lejeune? What are all the areas you service, Chad?
Yeah, so Eastern North Carolina. So I service bases of Cherry Point Air Station, Camp Lejeune, New River, Coast Guard bases Hoboken, Coast Guard base Fort Macon, and Seymour Johnson Air Force Base.
You got
So,
all the places.
yeah, I'm going to use a big word. You have a plethora of places you do.
A smorgasbord, as they say.
I do, I do.
You've got the charcuterie board of military.
That's it. The charcuterie board of that area. So let me ask you a question, Chad. Share with us a little bit about your service. Like, what did you do in the military? How did you serve? Where was it at? Give us a little bit of your experience.
Uh, Retired Air Force Reserve. Basically, I started off active duty as an ammo troop. Did 13 years active duty. Did tours in Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, PSAP, Qatar, you name it. I kind of been in everywhere in the Middle East, and got to an opportunity where my mother is in real estate. Always wanted to do it. Got a chance at 13 years to do the force shaping option and get out, and I knew I wanted to continue to serve. So I finished out at Seymour Johnson 8 years. End up running the bomb dump out there and retired as a senior master sergeant. But that gave me an opportunity to still serve on the reserve side. And like I said, I've been an agent 11 years now.
Well, you know, the
Okay,
ammo
so
troops, man. I was going to say ammo troops. They always say, if you ain't ammo, you ain't and size matters. I got it. Ammo.
well, Chad, you know me fairly well. I'm just a lowly old military spouse here. What the hell is a bomb dump?
So bomb dump, basically an Air Force base or military installation, anywhere where the weapon systems of whatever aircraft is there, like basically the bombs are housed in those locations. And as a ammo troop, basically we maintain, store, inspect, and deliver. We're actually the ones that assemble it, and then we take it to the flight line, and then we call it a AFSC of the Air Force. Those are the ones that actually put it up on the bomb. But yeah, I built tens of thousands of bombs on active duty. So
Did you ever sign them like delivered from Chad?
no, yeah, when you're overseas, you had the chance. And
Put a message on it?
yeah, you could put a message on it when you were deployed.
Or are we gonna leave those to the side and not talk about what
Yeah,
you
just we're gonna leave those to the side. So
You know what's funny? And this is so my husband says that. He's like, "When I pass away, I want you to cremate me and put me into bullets and bombs and then just write these messages on it." So I have a directive in his will to put certain messages on bullet casings and bombs with his ashes in it and just send it out.
That's
So
it. Just send it out. As long as I get one. So, Chad, you talked about real estate, right? So you have family in real estate. You chose real estate so you can continue to serve. So as a real estate agent, once you get licensed, you can serve any client that you choose to serve. What made you want to stay with the military niche, and what's so special about that?
so funny story. The first agent I ever had, I was stationed in Turkey overseas. This was prior to social media. Bought a house sight on scene with just photos. And then when I came to do my final walkthrough, the carpet needed to be replaced because she didn't tell me that there was a strong pet odor in there.
oh, I thought it was
So,
gonna be poo. Pet's better than poo, but still nasty.
and at that point, I was like, man, I never want somebody else to feel how I felt. And I grew up around it where my mom used to do the carbon copy on a hood. So, yeah, I grew up around it. And at that point, I was like, damn, I could be an agent. And so I've always taken pride in making sure you have a video walkthrough. Military taught me, not that I wasn't disciplined before, but just to document everything and take care of our service members. So I knew that if that happened to me, how many tens of thousands of other people has that happened to? And I didn't know. My mother was a real estate agent, and I had no idea. Like, I knew at that point, I was like, man, I could do this, and I can do this at a high level.
So, what's something that, and I know we're asking you this like totally randomly, but what's something that you feel like you took out of your military service that serves you really well in real estate and allows you to be a top producer?
Communication. I communicate at a high level. My paperwork and, knowing technical orders, like when you're in the military, you have to do the job to the letter. I kind of took that. I would say I'm the best at paperwork in my whole entire office. If I send you something, you have to read it, you have to sign it, and you have to understand it. And I also educate along the way, and I pride myself always telling you what's next. So every conversation that we ever have, I'm always going to tell you what's next. So I know what it feels like to get the call for them asking a question, and that was early in my career. So I really pride myself of like, all right, I have to give them the information so they don't have to ask me the question. So as far as follow up, I'm really good paperwork negotiating with contracts and vendors. It's just like the military. There's somebody that could do the job, you know, within real estate. And I know I can't be all things to all people. So I surround myself with the vendors and the people that say I'm not an expert at. I have somebody that's an expert in that because I know my expertise lies in the military, first time home buyers and sellers. That would be my avatar after the class the other day.
So we're talking what you're saying is that one of the things you grab when you think about the military, your military experience and structure, like, hey, communication is key, right? Shoot, move, and communicate. So you communicate. I love the fact that you said, I connect with my vendors because we're all part of the process. So you communicate, you connect, and you ensure that documentation you are sending is accurate and ready to go. So there's not a lot of questions around it.
Absolutely.
Well, funny enough, you also have a son who you've now gotten into real estate, except for now we're using the laptop on the car hoods instead of the carbon copies. So, what's that been like passing that on to your son?
So it's nice. So there's three generations of real estate agents in our office. So it's been uh, it's been it's been really good. So like when I became an agent, I was I was older. I was in my 30s. So, for my mom to teach me in my 30s is a lot different than my son being at 18.
So hold on, let me call a timeout. So what you're saying is that the great Chad Howery may not have been as coachable in his 30s with his mom teaching him real estate than your son is now.
No, I thought the opposite. I would assume Chad's more coachable than Trip.
Yeah. So what I'm finding with
Sorry, Trip, if you're watching this, that's not what I meant. I'm just saying, younger
it's
are
it's
receptive sometimes.
right. It's just I mean, like, here's a funny story. So we were when my daughter was first learning to drive. I had this little truck, and it didn't have power windows. And she got in there, and she like, "What is this?" And she started reeling. So, like, I think sometimes as we grow up in the technology age, just the old school stuff that even pumping gas. So, like, my son's not the greatest with using a computer, which is funny. He can use his phone, but I'm like, "Hey, dude, like, I don't think I need to teach you how to use your computer."
I never would have even thought about that. You know what's so another funny story about this, and then we'll move on. So I was in one of the offices. This was probably 6 months ago. Matt, I think I told you this, and I was in my office, and the window was in the hallway, right? So the hallway you walk down to go to the training room. There's a little glass window. I always sit in there with my lights off and a lamp on because I cannot stand the fluorescent lights. Anyway, so I have my phone sitting here, and I have AirPods in, and I'm on a call. And this kid, probably your son's age, comes up to the window, and I was like, hold on, I'm on a call. And I did like this. And he kind of squinted and I was like, I mouthed to him, I'm on the phone. And he did like this again. And I thought, no joke, this kid doesn't know what this means. And I
This.
did turn around my phone and I was like, I'm on the phone. So the idea that they don't use computers and they only use their phones is not something I ever would have thought of that. That's hilarious.
Right. So that, but he's a fast learner, and I'm really trying to do it the right way and not force it. So he's been a showing assistant for me and got to write a couple contracts along the way. And he has a part-time job. So I mean, he's 18. There's still some life experience things that he's going to have to learn. I feel the goal is by the time he's 21 to really get ingrained into production. But yeah, he's strictly a showing agent now. He's doing kind of the open house model where he has to do so many open houses per week because he doesn't have a sphere. He didn't grow up with me. I had joint custody. I've seen him in the summers and holidays, but he doesn't know a lot of people here. So I was like, all right, you gotta build your database. And if you're going to the same events that know dad, like you got to go to events where they know Trip. So, he's plugging away at open houses, and the goal is to get him to do one a day. He's doing at least two a week, but the goal is to do one every day. If you don't have any business, then go do a open house every day. Pick different times and track the traffic instead of, he's just picking random stuff. And I was like, how many people showed up? None. I was like, all right, well, you need to like do the activities. Here's what you're supposed to do. So, but he'll be fine.
Well, here's the great thing about it. You mentioned when you talked about, why you love, working with the military client, what makes it so special and what you love to do in communication. You also talked about you love to educate. And here you are, right? We talk about, role modeling the way you're actually spending the time educating your son on the proper way to do it so that any client that eventually works with you, not only are they going to get you, they're going to get somebody that's educated, somebody that's competent, somebody that's skilled that can help. And that kind of goes to this next question. Based on your personal and professional experience, right? What one piece of advice would you give either an agent or a military service member looking to purchase a home? What is the one thing, the piece of advice that they really need to know before stepping into this process?
I mean, buy a cheap townhouse at every duty station you're at, from if you're 18 or 19, whether you get BAH or not, you can afford $100,000 townhouse. If I did it all over again, every duty station, I would have bought the cheapest, smallest, most livable property that I could live in to turn around and rent it out. And, you know, I would probably have 25 houses by now that were all paid off. So a lot of people, "Well, I'm only here a year." Just buy a house. You can rent it out. Or the payment's gonna be so low. If you have to eat that cost, you can do it. And then for like a new agent, just show up. Like you have to show up. Like most people cannot work from home. You have to show up. You have to do duty time. You have to do the grunt work. It's not easy. And like you're talking about my son, like he came and shadowed me one day and he's like, "Dad, I didn't know you did this much work." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's not just opening a door by far."
That's so funny. Yeah, you talk about buy one at every duty station, and I think that it's important for people who hear that to know the reason you're saying that. And you kind of glazed over at this point in my life, it'd be paid off. But if you really think about 25 properties, let's say you were pulling rent at $1,000 a month for each of the 25 and they were all paid off. At this point, you'd be sitting on 25 grand a month mailbox money. So it's not just like a trust me, here's what I would have done. It's the math like works out to where by the time you retired, you'd be net worth millionaire and cash flow rich. I mean, it's, we can get into that on another video, but that's part of what we would love for people to know as well. So I love that. Any parting words? Somebody watching this is probably getting exposed to who you are for the first time, maybe considering moving to your area, looking for agents they want to choose. Any pieces of advice or parting words you'd like for them to hear before we go?
Do the research, make the phone call. We're professionals for a reason. We have a license to be a real estate agent. So do the research and make the call and put yourself in opportunities that you can gain wealth. You know, buy houses. There's just so much money to be made in buying houses. So that just do it.
I
That's
love
it. Just do it. And if they're looking to get a hold of you, right?
Yep.
How can they get a hold of you?
Um, Call, text, or email. Chad Howery at kw.com, 325-669-7048. Google me, ChatGPT me.
Anywhere podcasts are sold, right?
That's it. Anywhere you can have a digital platform, you are going to find Chad Howery.
I'm on the tickety talk, the snappity snap, all those.
Facey face, the insidious, the tickety tick, the snappity snap.
The gram, and I'm old school. I call Facebook the book. We call it the book or the book of faces. So
at least my daughter called me out the other day because I don't even know. She's like, Dad, remember when you used to call, when you used to say, what is up with these memes? I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know it's a meme. I was like, what is a meme? What is this GIF thing?
well, that's like hashtags. I didn't realize a hashtag was just you just put whatever word you're on there. Like for like a year, I'm like, what is a hashtag?
Yeah.
They're not even really a thing anymore, so it's really important now.
I remember getting on Snapchat for the first time too, and doing all the weird things with your face.
I was like, I asked my daughter, what's a pound signing? What do you mean? Like these people are doing pounding words. It's a pound sign in words. Like it's a hashtag. What are you talking about? But hey.
If you're looking for the AARP section of this conversation, you have just passed it.
Hey, that's it. You heard it here from Chad Howery from the Moving the Military Agent Interview Series. Hey, we can't wait to see you next time.